First story. My entitled son wasn't appreciative enough of his gifts, so I took away his PS5 and guitar that he had wanted for 2 years and gave them to his cousin. I demanded my son apologize. He refused and sold his stuff to buy himself an old PS5. I took away his money. Now I'm regretting it. I 35F have 3 kids. Adam 13, Layla 9, and Nora 4. I don't think I'm a perfect parent by any means, but I do try. We're not well off financially. My husband, Tarek, and I both work, and things have been tight the last couple of years. That's probably part of why I took this Christmas so personally. Adam's our oldest, and he's always been the one who gets the short end of the stick. Not intentionally, it's just when he was little. We were younger and broke, and didn't know what we were doing. He's also been diagnosed with ADHD, and is on the autism spectrum, though fairly high functioning. He's smart and very observant, but has always had a hard time with impulse control and emotional regulation. We've had issues with his attitude before. Not just being a teen, I mean saying cruel things when he doesn't get his way, being dismissive toward people he doesn't like, and acting like the world owes him something. Last summer, we had a meltdown over a birthday party when he didn't get the exact brand of headphones he wanted. He locked himself in his room all day and refused to talk to his grandparents, who came by just to see him. I do try to account for his challenges, but at some point, I also feel like he has to learn to act appropriately, especially in public. Not everyone's going to tiptoe around his feelings. This year, I really wanted to make Christmas special. It's been rough for all of us. My dad Yosef has been in the hospital since November after a stroke. He's the one who always gives the grandkids $100 each, a little tradition that's been consistent since Adam was a toddler. Adam knew he wasn't getting it this year, and even though I explained it weeks ago, he kept bringing it up like it was owed to him. I brushed it off as just preteen behavior. Anyway, we started Christmas shopping in October. Layla has been getting into Harry Potter, and she specifically asked for the books. We couldn't find the exact box set she wanted, so we got her a Kindle and loaded it with a complete series and a few bonus books. She was over the moon when she found out. Nora's still little and, honestly, just excited to open boxes and tear wrapping paper. She got toys, plushies, and some art stuff. Adam, though he's wanted a PS5 for the last 2 years. We couldn't get our hands on one last year, and before that it was impossible to find. I've been secretly putting money aside here and there, and finally managed to order one this year when they became more available. We also got him a starter guitar and paid for a year of online Fender lessons. He'd been talking about wanting to learn for months, and I was so proud we could finally make it happen. I didn't even tell him I wanted it to be a surprise. Every year, our extended family gets together for dinner and a gift exchange. It's a tradition. This year, we gathered at my sister Mina's house. She has one son, Zaid 11, who gets along with Layla and Nora well enough. Adam and Zaid don't really click. Zaid's more easygoing and polite, and sometimes I think Adam sees him as competition. Or maybe he just doesn't like that Zaid gets so much attention from the adults because he's well behaved. Right before we opened presents, my Mil Santa handed out gifts to the kids. Layla and Nora received cute, girly things, makeup kits, jewelry, and tiny bottles of perfume, and they were thrilled. Adam opened his gift next, a board game and a watch. Simple. Nothing flashy. I saw the shift on his face immediately. He didn't bother to hide it. He glanced around the room and blurted out, "Where's my PS5? And Grandpa's money?" I felt my stomach drop. Everyone just kind of froze. My sister's jaw tightened. Santa looked embarrassed, but also annoyed. I tried to hush him quietly, but he kept going, muttering about how this was lame and not fair. It was loud enough for everyone to hear and enough to kill the mood. I could feel everyone judging. I felt ashamed, like I'd raised this ungrateful brat who couldn't even pretend to be polite for 5 minutes. And I won't lie, I snapped. I walked over to the tree and picked up the rest of the presents with his name on them, the ones with the PS5 and the guitar inside. I turned around and handed them to Zaid. He looked confused at first. Mina tried to stop me. She literally said, "Wait, Jess, Adam hasn't opened his yet." But I just looked at her and told her, "It's fine." Zaid opened them, and his eyes lit up. He was thrilled. Adam just stared. Then his face twisted, and he got up and stormed off to the guest room. I didn't follow him right away. I was still angry, honestly angry and embarrassed. My Mill started saying something about how kids these days have no respect. Mina pulled me aside and said, "You didn't have to do that." But I told her he needed to learn. I've had so many talks with Adam about tone, about gratitude, about how people perceive him. I've given him more passes than I can count. I honestly thought maybe this was the only way it would click for him. Tarek didn't say much. He looked uncomfortable, but he usually leaves discipline to me. He did say, "We probably should talk to him, though." Eventually, I went to the room to talk to Adam. He was curled up on the bed, crying. I sat down and tried to explain what happened and why I did what I did, that he did have presents, expensive and thoughtful ones, but his attitude made it impossible to reward him. He cut me off and said, "You gave my PS5 to Zaid just because I didn't like board games." That set me off again. I told him it wasn't about the board games, it was about how he reacted, how he embarrassed me, and how I expected better from him. He muttered something nasty, I won't repeat it here, but it basically amounted to him saying the presents sucked, and that I sucked for giving them away. So I told him he was grounded for a month. No Switch, no computer, no games, and that he owed everyone an apology before he could earn anything back. He screamed at me to get out, that he hated me. So I left. I went back to the party and tried to pretend everything was fine. It wasn't. Not even close. I stayed in the living room, helped pass plates, laughed when someone made a joke, and avoided looking at the hallway. Every few minutes someone would glance in Adam's direction like they expected him to come back out. He didn't. Zaid was sitting on the floor setting up the PS5, already asking his dad about games. I could hear the startup sound and felt my jaw tighten. Nina pulled me aside again. She kept her voice low, but she was clearly upset. She told me Zaid didn't need the PS5, that she hadn't planned for something that big, and that Adam was probably spiraling. I told her I understood, but that I couldn't undo it now without undermining the point. She asked me what the point was. I said respect. She didn't look convinced. Sana made a comment later about how kids learn fast when consequences are real. I agreed out loud, even though something in my chest felt off. Tarek avoided the whole thing. He didn't defend me, but he didn't challenge me either. Adam didn't come out for dessert. He didn't come out to say goodbye. We left with him still locked in the room. The drive home was quiet, except for Nora falling asleep and Layla asking why Adam was mad. I told her he was being punished for being rude. She nodded and didn't ask more. When we got home, Adam went straight to his room. I followed him and took his Switch from the dock. He didn't fight me. He just looked at me like I'd done something irreversible. I reminded him of the grounding and the apology requirement. He said nothing. That scared me more than yelling would have. The next few days were rough. Adam barely spoke. He went to school, came home, and shut himself in his room. He didn't touch his old games. He didn't ask for anything. He didn't argue. That should have felt like a win, but it didn't. Tarek finally said something on the third night. He asked me if I thought giving away the presents was too far. I told him no, that Adam crossed a line in public and needed a consequence he'd remember. Tarek said that Adam doesn't experience consequences the same way we do. I snapped back that ADHD and autism don't excuse cruelty. He didn't respond, just said, "I think you humiliated him." That word stuck. A week later, Mina texted me saying Zaid had been asking why Adam hated him now. Apparently Adam had blocked him online and told a mutual cousin that Zaid stole his life. Mina wasn't accusing me, but she was clearly frustrated. She also said Zaid felt awkward using the PS5 and asked if he could give it back. I said no. I told her it would confuse Adam even more if we reversed it. I told myself consistency mattered. But Adam started slipping. His teacher emailed about missed assignments. His therapist asked if anything major had happened recently because Adam had shut down in sessions. I told her about the grounding, but left out the PS5 part. I didn't want to be judged. Then Adam overheard Layla telling her friend about her Kindle and how Adam ruined Christmas. He lost it. He slammed his door so hard and yelled that nobody cared whether he was alive or not. That stopped me cold. I went in and told him not to talk like that. He said, "Why not? You already gave everything meant for me away." I reminded him that his behavior caused it. He asked me if I would have done the same if Layla had complained. I didn't answer fast enough. He noticed. He told me he knew Grandpa was sick, and that he'd been scared he might die, and that the money wasn't even about the money. It was about things staying the same when everything else felt out of control. I told him he should have said that instead of throwing a fit. He asked me how, since every time he explains himself, I say he's making excuses. That one landed harder than I expected. I still think Adam was rude. I still think he should have said thank you and kept his mouth shut. I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. But I also can't ignore that he's the only one who walked away from Christmas with nothing. I haven't given the presents back. Zaid still has them. Adam still doesn't have access to his games. He did eventually apologize, but it felt forced and empty. I accepted it because that was the rule I set, not because it fixed anything. Adam isn't back to normal. He's quieter, flatter. He doesn't talk about the future anymore. He doesn't ask for things. He doesn't even bring up the PS5, which somehow makes it worse. I wanted to teach him a lesson about gratitude, but I'm starting to wonder if all I taught him was that love and security are conditional. At the same time, I feel like if I admit I was wrong, I lose authority, like I set a boundary and caved. I don't want to raise a kid who thinks public disrespect is acceptable. I also don't want to be the parent who broke her kid over a Christmas mistake. So here I am, stuck between feeling justified and feeling sick to my stomach. Ada? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. But not in the way most people are saying. You're not abusive. You just handled it like a parent who's burnt out and overcorrecting. You've clearly had a history of issues with Adam's attitude, some of it probably related to his autism. But it sounds like you've also dealt with real entitlement and behavior problems before. I get it. I've got a 15-year-old who once told my mom her gift was a waste of paper. I was mortified too. But here's the thing. When you have a kid with a different brain, you can't use shame as a teaching tool. It just doesn't work. It doesn't build empathy. It builds isolation and resentment. And the part that really bothers me. It sounds like a lot of this was about you being embarrassed in front of Sana and Mina. Not about Adam's growth. Not about discipline. You were angry that your son reflected poorly on you. And you used that moment to protect your image, even if it hurt him. You need to fix this. Not by giving the PS5 back, that ship might have sailed, but by actually owning what you did and the emotional impact it had. If Adam has shut down emotionally after this, then the punishment wasn't effective, it was traumatic. You're not a monster. But you need to stop acting like discipline is a scoreboard where you win by holding the line. Your kid's in pain. Time to show up for him, not as a disciplinarian, but as a mom. Comment 2. YTA, seriously. He's a kid 1 with ADHD and autism, no less. You say this like it's a footnote, but it completely changes the way this situation should have been handled. They're all ungrateful little SHTs at that age, especially when they don't have the full toolkit for emotional regulation. He made a dumb, snotty comment in a moment of disappointment, and your reaction was to annihilate his joy and publicly shame him. Any halfway decent behaviorist would tell you this was excessive. You basically punished him for being himself during an overstimulating, high-stress moment. You think that's going to teach him gratitude? No, it's going to teach him to mask harder, shut down, and trust you less. Don't be surprised if he starts hiding how he feels or stops asking for things altogether. Compliance is not the same as growth. You just set his behavior and your relationship with him back by years. His future therapist is going to have material for days with this one. Comment 3. YTA. You overreacted. I don't know how long it'll take for your son to forgive you, maybe years. He might never forget it. And that's not a lesson in gratitude. That's trauma with a holiday bow on it. Come on. He's 13, autistic, and has ADHD. His brain literally doesn't process frustration the way yours does. You expected emotional maturity from someone who's still learning how to name what he's feeling. Did he handle the gifts and the missing $100 badly? Yeah. But the fact that you gave away his actual presents without a word is chilling. You didn't even pull him aside to say, "Hey, your behavior's out of line, and I expect better." You just erased the surprise you worked so hard on and handed it to another kid in front of the whole family. I get that you felt embarrassed, and I can tell from the way you wrote this that your pride was hurt. But parenting through shame, especially when neurodivergence is involved, never works. If anything, you validated the worst fears your son probably already has, that he's hard to love. Also, it sounds like he's been pretty spoilt in the past. That's on you. If a kid's used to big gifts and tons of attention, and suddenly doesn't get that, especially under family stress, with grandpa in the hospital, of course he's going to act out. You've trained him to expect big things, and then punished him when he reacted like someone who expected big things. Take the L, apologize, and do better. Update. I'm not posting to defend myself anymore. I'm posting because my house doesn't feel like a family right now, and I don't recognize my relationship with my own kids. After Christmas, Adam basically shut down. I mentioned that before, but I didn't think I understood what that really meant at the time. He wasn't brooding. He wasn't plotting revenge. He just disengaged. He stopped asking for things. stopped arguing, stopped pushing back. I told myself this was him finally learning a lesson about expectations and gratitude. I was wrong. About 3 weeks after Christmas, I got a knock on the door one Saturday afternoon. It was a man in his early 30s, holding a box. He asked for Adam by name and said he was there to pick up some games. I told him we didn't owe him anything. He looked confused and pulled up the Facebook Marketplace listing. Adam had posted it with our address. When I confronted Adam, he didn't deny it. He said he'd listed his things online. He'd already sold his old Switch games, an old tablet, a pair of headphones, and even his bike. He was trying to piece together enough money to buy a used PS5 from someone at school. He told me he didn't ask because he already knew the answer. I lost it. I went off on him for sneaking around, for being irresponsible, for putting himself in danger by meeting strangers online. He didn't argue. He just stood there and let me yell. When I grounded him again and took his phone, he didn't react. No tears, no anger, just nodded. I told myself this was necessary. I told myself I was protecting him. A few days later, things got worse. Mina called me. Apparently Zaid had brought the PS5 to school and given it to Adam. He told Adam he never wanted it, and that he felt bad every time he looked at it. Adam accepted it and didn't tell anyone. I only found out because Mina found the empty box in Zaid's closet and pressed him. When I confronted Adam, he admitted it. He said he wasn't playing it, just keeping it in his closet, because it was the only thing that was supposed to be his. That broke something in me. I took it away, again. Adam didn't react like I expected. He just said, okay, and went to his room. Mina completely lost it on me. She said I was punishing Adam repeatedly just to prove a point and dragging her son into it. She accused me of choosing pride over my own kid. We haven't spoken since. Around this time, Layla started changing too. She'd always been easy, grateful, and eager to please. Suddenly she was demanding, complaining, asking why Adam gets so much attention when he's bad. She started mimicking my tone without realizing it. Nora started throwing tantrums and yelling, "Not fair," whenever something didn't go her way. I saw my own behavior reflected back at me, and I didn't like it. Then Sana came over. She pulled Adam aside while I was in the kitchen and told him she agreed with what I did at Christmas. That he needed to be taught respect. That his behavior embarrassed the family. Adam came to me afterwards, shaking with anger, and repeated every word. He asked me if that's what I really thought too. I didn't answer fast enough. Again. That night blew up into a full family fight. I snapped at Sana for undermining me. She snapped back that I wouldn't be in this mess if I'd been firmer earlier in his life. Tarek didn't defend me. He just told his mother it wasn't the time. Then later told me he didn't agree with how I handled any of it. That was the first time he said it out loud. A week later, I got a call from Adam's school. He'd been suspended. His art teacher assigned a graphic storytelling project, and Adam turned in a comic about a family Christmas where a kid watches everything meant for him get handed to someone else while the house burns. The imagery was dark. The school flagged it as violent and disturbing. I was called into a meeting with the counselor and the vice principal. They asked about stress at home. They asked about discipline. They asked if Adam felt safe. I felt like I was on trial. They referred him for a psychiatric evaluation. His therapist wasn't surprised. She said Adam has been internalizing everything and punishing himself quietly. That he doesn't feel entitled to comfort anymore. That he doesn't trust me to provide it. Then his birthday came up. I had planned to give him the PS5 for his birthday. I thought holding on to it was reasonable. I thought Adam needed to learn that good things come with good behavior. When I asked Adam what he wanted to do for his birthday, he said nothing. No cake. No dinner. No gifts. He said birthdays are just another way to hold love over my head. I told him he was being dramatic. I said his grandfather's health was serious, and that Christmas wasn't about him. That was a mistake. After that, he shut down completely. He hasn't spoken to me since, except when absolutely necessary. I found out later that he blames himself for Grandpa's stroke. He overheard a conversation months ago where someone mentioned stress. He connected dots that weren't real, and I didn't see it because I was too focused on correcting his attitude. Adam now has no savings, no bike, no games, and no outlet. He sits in his room and draws. That's it. When I try to check in, he shuts down. When I try to apologize, he says, "You already decided who I am." Tarek has been distant. He handles Adam's appointments without me. He comforts the girls. He doesn't contradict me openly, but he doesn't back me up either. I keep telling myself I had good intentions, that Adam needed to learn limits, that not every disappointment is a tragedy. Those expectations need to be managed, especially when family circumstances change. But now I'm looking around and realizing I have the worst relationship with the child who needed me the most. A daughter who's learning the wrong lessons, a toddler absorbing the tension, and a husband who no longer trusts my judgment. I'm still holding on to the PS5. I don't know why. Control, maybe. Fear. Stubbornness. I don't know how discipline turned into distance this fast, or when teaching gratitude crossed into something else entirely. I don't know how to fix this without admitting that maybe I went too far, and I don't know what happens if I do. I'm asking honestly now. Ada? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. Again. But worse now. You're not teaching Adam life lessons, you're punishing him for making you feel uncomfortable and embarrassed. That's it. That's the pattern here. Let me say this as someone who was that kid. You're destroying him. And he's starting to believe he deserves it. That's the real damage. He's not being dramatic. He's trying to survive in a house where his mom keeps finding new ways to prove she'll never be on his side. You took away the only thing he looked forward to. You gave it to someone else. You then took it back again when someone tried to make it right. You found out he was selling his own SHT to buy a replacement and punished him again. The kid literally gave up everything just to rebuild what was taken, and you saw that as disrespect. And the cherry on top. His own grandma told him it was his fault. That's what you've built around him. A house full of people telling him he's broken, entitled, and dangerous, and you're acting confused that he's drawing comics about his house burning down. You're not asking if you're the arsehole. You know. You're asking if it's too late. It might be. Apologize. Not with some lecture hidden inside it. With humility. With ownership. And give the damn PS5 to him. Comment 2. This is the most brutal parenting post I've read in a while, and I'm saying this as a father of an autistic kid. YTA to the core. You were so focused on forcing a lesson about gratitude that you didn't stop to think if your kid even had the tools to process what was happening. You held out the PS5 like a prize in a moral game show. And when he didn't play your script, you punished him repeatedly, each time getting a little colder. And your husband, he's not distancing. He's giving up. He's watching the damage and trying to stay out of the blast radius. That's why he's silent. That's why he's picking up the emotional pieces and you're not. The line that made me sick was, "I still have the PS5 in my closet." You're keeping it like it's a trophy. Like it's a symbol of your control. That kid doesn't need a gaming console, he needs a goddamn lifeline. I think you're desperate to be a good parent, and think that means being tough. But your kid needed compassion, not lessons in humility. He learned the wrong lesson, that love gets revoked if he's not perfect. Fix it. Or you're going to blink and realize you've raised a boy who only talks to you through the past tense. Comment 3. I'm not even going to focus on Adam, everyone else already is. I want to talk about Layla and Nora, because you're in the middle of effing up all 3 of your kids. Layla was your golden child. And now she's swinging hard in the other direction, because she sees the real economy in your house. Attention is a currency, and bad behavior gets paid in time and energy. She's not becoming difficult out of nowhere. She's watching what good behavior got her silenced. What did Adam's meltdown get him? A full family war. So she's adapting. Because kids always do. Nora's mimicking it all. You said she throws not fair tantrums. Wonder where she learned that. Probably from watching her big brother get systematically crushed for having any feelings at all. What's really going on here is that you set up a system where you're more invested in being right than being a parent. That's why your house feels like a battlefield. You're in charge, but you've lost every soldier. Until you deal with your need to be the one holding the moral high ground, your kids are going to keep turning on you and eventually on each other. Wake up before you end up with 3 adults who only talk about you in therapy. Update. I didn't think this would be the end result of trying to teach my son a life lesson. I thought things were finally calming down, or at least starting to. But now my husband has filed for separation. My oldest son won't look me in the eye, and my younger kids are asking where their dad is every day. I'm barely keeping it together. After the school got involved because of the comic Adam drew, we were pressured into family therapy. I wasn't against it. I figured it would help Adam open up in a neutral setting. I was willing to show up, sit in the room, and hear him out as long as there was someone to keep it structured. I've never been afraid of accountability. I just wanted us to move forward. In that first session, The therapist didn't even pretend to stay neutral. She asked me point blank if I thought I had gone too far by giving away Adam's presence in front of family. I told her the same thing I've said from the beginning. My son's behavior was hurtful, disrespectful, and crossed a boundary. Consequences aren't always comfortable. And I didn't do it to be cruel. I did it so he would understand that there are lines that can't be crossed. I told her I've always done what I thought was right for his future, even when it wasn't easy. Adam didn't say a word that whole session. He didn't even look at me. The therapist said silence speaks volumes. At home, I tried again. I told him I was willing to let everything go if he just apologized. That's it. I didn't need a full breakdown, just some acknowledgement that his behavior on Christmas wasn't okay. He stared at the wall. I told him, "You don't have to like me, but this isn't sustainable. Just apologize so we can all move on." Nothing. After that, I took the envelope my dad left for him, the $100 he would have gotten on Christmas, and handed it to him. I told him, "I never wanted to punish you just for the sake of it. You hurt me, but that doesn't mean I don't care. This was always meant for you." He took the envelope, said thanks, and walked back to his room. He hasn't spent the money. It's sitting untouched in a drawer. Things with my sister Mina have gone completely cold. She found out through a mutual cousin that Adam was suspended for the comic. And when she saw it online, the school included it in a digital parent update on mental health awareness. She recognized herself in one of the characters. She sent me a long message accusing me of warping my son's sense of trust, and said she no longer feels safe letting Zaid be around our family. She's blocked me since. I found out later from Layla that Adam and Zaid still talk at school. So whatever damage I supposedly did there isn't as deep as everyone claims. Tarek and I started arguing more often. He said I made the situation unforgivable when I took the PS5 back a second time. He said I made Adam feel like everything is conditional love, gifts, safety, belonging. He told me that he no longer trusts my parenting, and that he can't co-parent with someone who refuses to admit they were wrong. He slept on the couch for 3 nights. Then he left with Adam to stay at his cousin's place for a few days. That was 2 weeks ago. He filed for separation last Friday. I didn't even get a conversation about it. I got a text saying he filed. Then a follow-up email with details. He didn't tell the girls. I had to. Nora cried for him the first night. Layla said, "Maybe he's just tired of all the fighting." I tried to call him. No answer. I messaged him and said we could work through this, that I didn't marry him to end up divorced, and that we had kids who needed both of us. He replied, "The kids do have both of us, just not in the same house." I'm furious. I'm sick. I feel like the ground under me is rotting. I've held this family together through chaos, through tight finances, through health scares with my father, through 3 very different kids with different needs, and now I'm being left behind because I didn't respond correctly to a teenage tantrum. I did what I thought was right. Maybe it was harsh, but it came from love. You don't just let your kid walk all over you, no matter what diagnosis he has. You don't get to act like the victim when all I wanted was to make Christmas special for all of them. How is it that the one person who disrespected everyone is now being treated like he's the most wounded? I don't accept the separation. I don't accept the idea that my son refusing to talk is a valid replacement for an apology. I don't accept that I'm being painted as abusive for holding a teenager accountable. What's breaking me is that no one, not Tarek, not Mina, not the therapist, seems to care how I feel in all of this. Like I was just supposed to take the embarrassment, take the disrespect, and smile through it. Now I've got a son who lives with his father, a sister who won't speak to me, a husband who gave up, and 2 daughters watching all of this fall apart. And I honestly don't know how it got this far. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. But I don't think you came here to ask that anymore. I think you're asking why no one is standing by you. And the answer is simple. You didn't stand by them. You keep framing everything like you are the only one holding this family together. But your grip is so tight you're choking the life out of it. Every time someone gave you a chance to de-escalate, you doubled down. You were given so many exits, so many moments to pause, to apologize, to soften, and you chose pride every single time. Your husband didn't blindside you. He watched you crush your son over a console, punish him again when someone else tried to make it right, ignore your daughter's shifting behavior, shut out your sister, and still act like you were the victim. He didn't leave out of nowhere. He left because you made it clear your version of love comes with terms and conditions. You say you didn't marry him to get divorced? Guess what, he didn't marry you thinking he'd be standing between his kid and his wife to protect the kid. So yeah, YTA. and now you're alone because of it. Comment 2. Jesus. This whole post is like a slow-motion train wreck, where the conductor refuses to hit the brakes because rules are rules. YTA. Not because you're evil. Not because you don't care. But because your need to be in control overpowered your need to connect. Your son made a dumb comment during a high-pressure holiday, and you went nuclear. You say you're confused how it got this far. But here's a clue. You turned love into a scoreboard. He had to earn the gift. He had to apologize to move on. He had to behave your way to be forgiven. And Tarek, he didn't leave because of one argument. He left because he saw the damage emotional, mental, relational, and realized staying quiet made him complicit. You didn't get divorced for teaching a lesson. You got divorced for refusing to stop teaching it, long after your kid had already failed the test. Update. I don't know how to condense the last several months into something coherent, but I'll try. Things didn't just fall apart, they unraveled slowly, in ways I kept convincing myself were temporary until they weren't. My father, Yusuf, passed away in early spring. It wasn't sudden, but it was still brutal. He never fully recovered after the stroke, and towards the end, he wasn't really himself anymore. I took the kids to the hospital once before he declined too much. Adam barely spoke the whole visit. He sat stiff in the chair. Layla cried quietly when Grandpa squeezed her hand. Nora asked too many questions because she didn't understand what was happening. I remember being angry at Adam that day. Angry that he couldn't fake it. Angry that he didn't say goodbye properly. I told myself he was being moody, distant, and disrespectful even in grief. I didn't stop to consider that maybe he was processing loss the only way he knew how. At the funeral, Adam didn't come. Tarek said he didn't want to force him. I said that was a mistake. Layla came with me and cried the entire service. She cried for her grandfather and, later, admitted she was crying because she felt like our family was already gone, and nobody was saying it out loud. That should have scared me more than it did. The divorce moved fast after that. Tarek filed formally a few weeks later. I still don't know when he decided it was final in his head. But by the time I realized he wasn't bluffing, it was already happening. I fought it at first. I kept insisting we could fix this, that it didn't need to end like this, that people divorce too easily now. He didn't argue. That was the worst part. Custody ended up 50-50th. Adam chose to stay primarily with his father. Layla did too, after a lot of back and forth. She told the mediator she loved me, but felt lighter at her dad's place. That word keeps replaying in my head. Nora stayed with me full-time because she's younger, and because neither of us wanted to uproot her entirely. So now my house is quieter than it's ever been. 2 bedrooms sit empty half the time. I tell myself this is temporary. I have to believe that. After the divorce was finalized, Sana made things worse. We were at a family gathering, one of the first I attended since the split, and she made a comment during dinner about how boys need firm mothers, or they grow up entitled and lost. She didn't say Adam's name, but everyone knew. She looked directly at me when she said it. Something in me snapped. I told her that if she wanted to comment on my parenting, she could have done it privately months ago, instead of whispering in my son's ear and validating his anger. She accused me of being defensive. I accused her of poisoning my relationship with my child. No one stepped in. The table went silent. I left early with Nora. That night, Layla texted me and asked why Grandma was mad at me. I didn't know how to answer without making things worse. Work hasn't been much better. I didn't realize how much this situation was bleeding into everything else until my supervisor asked to speak with me. She said my performance had slipped, missed deadlines, distracted meetings, tension with coworkers. She asked if I was okay. I told her I was dealing with personal things. She suggested I take advantage of the employee assistance program. It felt humiliating, like even the place where I'm supposed to be competent can see the cracks. Nora's preschool teacher reached out shortly after that. She said Nora had been having trouble with separation, more tantrums, and more fear around routine changes. She asked if anything at home had changed. I wanted to scream. Everything has changed. I told her about the divorce in broad terms. She suggested consistency and reassurance. I'm trying. I really am. I started therapy a month ago. I didn't go in thinking I was wrong. I went in thinking I needed tools to cope with everything that's been done to me. But session after session, the focus keeps circling back to my need for control, my fear of losing authority, and my habit of interpreting emotional reactions as personal attacks. I don't agree with everything my therapist says. I still believe Adam needed limits. I still believe expectations matter. But I'm starting to see that I was wrong. I look back now and see a pattern I didn't want to admit before. Every time I felt powerless, embarrassed at Christmas, scared about my father, ignored in my marriage, I tightened my grip. I told myself it was discipline, parenting, but it was also fear. What hurts the most is that my kids didn't just react to what I did. They adapted to it. Adam withdrew. Layla learned to keep her feelings tidy and quiet. Nora absorbs everything and mirrors it back without understanding why. I don't think I acted out of malice. But I do think I underestimated how much damage good intentions can do when you refuse to bend. I miss my kids. I miss Adam's presence, even when he was difficult. I miss Layla talking nonstop in the car. I miss the chaos. I hate that my family now exists in pieces, divided by schedules and handoffs. I still feel misunderstood. I still feel like people took my worst moments and defined me by them. I still feel used, like everyone took what they needed from me and left when I stopped being convenient. But I also know I can't rebuild anything if I keep insisting I was the only one who mattered. Right now, I have Nora. I read to her every night. I show up. I listen more than I talk. I don't know if it will be enough. I don't know how long it will take before Adam will speak to me without that wall in his eyes, or before Layla stops bracing herself around me. I love all my kids. I don't want to lose them. I don't want to be the parent they only discuss in therapy. If starting from scratch is what it takes, then that's what I'll do. I would give anything to have a real relationship with them again, not one built on rules and consequences, but something that actually feels safe. I just don't know if it's too late. Comments. Comment 1. You keep saying, I have Nora. And I want you to hear this. You had all three once, and you didn't protect them. Adam was crushed under pressure. He didn't have the tools to process. Layla was your favorite until she wasn't. And now Nora is in your house watching everything. Watching you spiral. Watching her brother and sister walk away. Watching what happens when someone disappoints you. She's going to adapt. She's going to figure out which version of herself you want. And she's going to wear it until she doesn't recognize who she is anymore. Your parenting wasn't just harsh. It was hierarchical. Kids knew where they stood based on how easy they were to deal with. That's why Layla cried at the funeral. Not just for her grandfather, but because her whole world was cracking, and she knew nobody was going to say it out loud. I'm begging you, don't turn Nora into your redemption arc. She's not your fresh start. She's a kid. And she deserves better than being your emotional do-over. Comment 2. Tarek was gone long before the paperwork. You just didn't see it because you were too busy winning arguments. His silence wasn't passivity, it was survival. You kept waiting for him to jump in and agree with you, to tell Adam he was being ungrateful, to back you up with the PS5, the punishments, and the therapy battles. But he didn't, because he saw you weaponizing control and calling it parenting. The fact that he went for all three kids in the custody agreement tells me everything. He was done watching you spiral and take the whole house with you. And now you're here, still saying no one understood you. They did. They just didn't agree with you. And instead of reflecting, you turned every disconnect into betrayal. You want to start over? Good. Start by accepting that this isn't about being used. It's about being challenged, and you couldn't handle it. That's what broke your marriage. Not your intentions, your actions. Second story. I just found out about the harassment my girlfriend is getting from my witch of a mother. I love my girlfriend, so my mom has lost the last of her kids. Generally, not much rattles me. My friends call me a stoic, emotionally constipated idiot, and they're not wrong. Which is why we're all still a little stunned that the love of my life is basically my opposite. I've been with my girlfriend for 8 years and known her for 10. She's quiet, gentle, brilliant, an actual whole arse professor, and genuinely one of the kindest people I've ever met. She's silly, shy, and goofy in the best ways and loves to poke fun. I love all of it. I love her more than I've ever loved anyone ever in this lifetime. But last night, something happened that I can't let go of. My phone was charging, so I was scrolling Instagram reels on hers like I usually do. One of her friends DM'd her. Normally I'd send back some dumb reaction photo, so they know it's me, just a thing in our circle. But it wasn't a joke. It was screenshots my girlfriend had sent her friend, and the friend was trying to comfort her. I hesitated, then opened the screenshots to read better. And I'm glad I did. I don't even regret it anymore because what I saw were multiple messages from my mother. Cruel ones. And the timestamps weren't all from the same day. So I don't know how long this has been happening. A week? Longer? No idea. Some of the messages my mom sent. Maybe he hasn't proposed because you haven't given him a child. Men don't marry placeholders. Most recent. This one makes me see red. I can't even imagine how my baby felt. If you stopped dressing like a teenage boy and put on some makeup, maybe he'd see you as a wife instead of one of his little friends. You're keeping him from his family he used to visit. For clarity, I'm the one who pulled back because of her behavior towards one of my sisters. That's a whole other issue. So nothing to do with my girlfriend. You think you're special. You're lucky he even brought you home. Girls like you don't get commitment from men like him. Like, what the hell is this? You're not good enough for the life he deserves. Reading them made my stomach drop. They were hateful and completely false. There's even more, but these were the ones seared into my brain. And my girlfriend didn't tell me about any of them. She's just been carrying this alone. Smiling, laughing with me, all while this garbage was sitting in the back of her mind. My girlfriend avoids conflict. She hates upsetting anyone. I get it. It's easier to talk to a friend first, and my mom can be intense. She probably didn't want to put me in a position where it looked like choosing sides. But I've chosen. And it's not her I'm angry with. I'm furious at my mother. I'm exhausted by this. She knows how much my girlfriend means to me. She hears me talk about her constantly. I really thought she might actually be happy for me. At the same time, I don't want to make this harder on my girlfriend or make her feel exposed. So here's where I need advice. Do I tell my girlfriend gently that I saw the messages, that I'm on her side, and that she doesn't need to shield me from my own mother? Or do I handle my mother privately and not bring it up unless my girlfriend does? I just want her to feel safe and supported. And it makes me sick that she's been dealing with this alone. I mean, actually sick. I'm just watching her make breakfast, and what's the best approach that prioritizes her well-being first? Some of the comments by OP. I'm in this in between of shock and rage, and I took a walk, realized I can't function, and made this post. I think this is just it for me. I'll be talking to my girlfriend today. I just have to figure out how to approach this. I'm upset, but I can't imagine how upset my girlfriend has been, and for how long. All I know is that when I and my girlfriend do get married, I don't want my mother there. I'm the last of her kids that puts up with her. As her son, I thought I had a duty. But this is just a line that has been triple-crossed behind my back. And knowing my girlfriend, she's going to figure out a way to forgive and forget. But I won't. I can't. I feel like a dumbass sitting on the curb looking at all these replies. But thank you. That seems to be the consensus. Talk to my girlfriend first. I just need to figure out a way to bring this up to her. I just hate the timing, you know? She's grading things and preparing for finals, and I don't know. I hate that this is something she's been going through by herself when she already deals with so damn much. I hate my mom so much right now. This is insane. I don't know how I'd face her at all without blowing up. I'm leaning terribly on NC at the moment. And yeah, I will be talking to my girlfriend. Someone mentioned I should probably cool off first. I will be talking to my GF once I try to cool it. I don't want to approach this wrong, and with anger in my heart, because what if she thinks that anger is directed at her in any way? Okay, so this got overwhelming really quick. I appreciate everyone's replies and their advice. Truly. I thought only 20 people would be here. But I'm going to walk away from my phone. It probably wasn't even the healthy move to begin with, seeking advice from strangers. But I just wanted to get out of my head, and at least find options that weren't calling my mom and telling her to go to hell. I'll be slimming in a bit, but I need to step away. Plus breakfast is ready. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Update. I talked to my girlfriend the same night I made that original post. We're working through everything together right now, and things are headed in a good direction. I'm not ready to write the full update yet since there's a lot to sort out privately before I come back with all of the details. But I did want to say something to the people who reached out when I was clearly not in the best headspace. For transparency, I told my girlfriend exactly what happened. That I panicked, had what I'm pretty sure was some kind of anxiety attack, and ended up here on Big Beautiful Reddit, asking a question that, in hindsight, had a pretty obvious answer. Not my finest hour, considering I'm usually, the calm one between us. I guess I was bound to pop at some point. I even ugly cried on the side of the road. Jesus Christ. I also showed her this account. And she, looked at me, then the comments and upvotes, and hit me with, "Bet you wish your actual account got this much engagement, huh?" Destroyed me in seconds. But so very accurate. A lot has happened since, and some of it was super eye-opening. Turns out my mum has a pattern of this behavior. After my girlfriend and I talked, I reached out to my siblings, and my younger brother opened up and told me she did the same thing to his now wife years ago. He just didn't tell anyone. They both moved far away and kept their distance because of it. That was a hard thing to hear, but it explains so much. Also, my GF is super close with my siblings too, so she knows. Anyway, to sum it all up real quick, my girlfriend and I are solid. We're talking, we're being honest, and we're on the same team. I'm taking care of the rest. I just wanted people to know things are okay, and we're moving forward, and I appreciate a lot of you. I'm too anxious to open up any of the comments on the OG post. Some of y'all are brutal, but real. My girlfriend has been peeking for me though. Happy holidays, everyone. Stay safe. Comments by OP. After her most recent comment, I've realized she might just have a superiority complex of sorts. Either way, this is totally crazy to me, the number of people that can't fathom folks who either don't want to get married or haven't after a certain amount of time. Like there's a time limit of sorts. Well, I guess I get the time thing. People don't live for long, and things happen. But even if I die or something before we get married, there will be plenty more proof out there pertaining to my love for my GF than just a ring and some papers. It seems to me that a lot of people think of marriage as some sort of end goal anyway, and then the love just stops because they race to that peak. You know? At least that's what I've seen and taken note of. I wonder how the same people would react once they find out my girlfriend doesn't want a diamond ring due to blood diamonds. And she won't be wearing a white dress because of its origin either. Also, she will probably be wearing a suit. I might effing wear a dress. Then what, people? Anyway, I'll leave you alone with my thoughts. But thank you lol. Have a happy holiday. As of now, I've told my mother to go F herself, and that the grandkids she already has don't even like her. And on top of not wanting kids personally, if I and my GF were to have any, they would not be coming anywhere near her and her SHTTY behavior. Also, the day there is a wedding, I don't even want her in the same damn state. I've spoken to my GF. I did not sugarcoat it. Told her I saw the screenshots and read everything. She knows I'm on her side. And well, it seems my mother lost her last kid. Also, we've all blocked her. All of us. I feel sad knowing that is the life she cultivated for herself. But I'm happy knowing that, moving forward, I and my GF have gotten closer. And so have I and my siblings. I'm still trying to accept that I have a mum, but don't have a mum, if that makes sense. But I've got good people in my life who are helping me through that. Thank you again. Have a happy holiday. Yeah, having spoken with my brothers and sisters on this matter, we realized that our mum treated her daughters like competition and her sons like boyfriends. But especially me, I guess, as the eldest. She's out of the picture now. Called her. I didn't need to hear her bullshit explanations. I was, and am just tired. She can think whatever she needs to. But I want a life with loving people, not whatever the hell this is or was or whatever. Your parents are your past. Your partner is your future, is something I've been thinking a lot about. This was also a comment I saw before the floodgates of hell opened. I appreciate it. Mum is out of the picture. I don't even feel okay calling her that anymore. Thankfully, this situation has also ended in my GF, and I getting closer as well as my siblings. We all agree now Mum is effing insane. Well, thank you for your comment, but not being married is a mutual agreement, I assure you. We've discussed what a marriage would look like between us. Probably a year into our actual relationship, and then some over the years. Traditionally speaking, we won't even be having a white wedding or whatever the term is. She doesn't want blood diamonds. Probably won't be wearing a dress. She definitely won't be wearing any virgin white either. And our love won't stop at some ring. Neither of us is religious. We see marriage as the legal system it is, which means we're going to make our wedding as outlandish as we want it to be when the time comes. When we are able to and ready. But first, there are a lot of things we would like to take care of first, and plans we have and trips we want to take. But yeah, my mum sucks, and I hope she won't waste her life waiting for an invite. Thank you. I have. And I have actually talked to my other siblings, and the consensus is surprise. Surprise, we all hate mum. And mum is a bit of a curse word. And now she has none of her children left. We've all cut ties. We're tired. Thank you for your comment. But not being married is a mutual agreement. We've discussed what a marriage would look like between us before plenty. And traditionally speaking, we won't even be having a white wedding or whatever the term is. She doesn't want blood diamonds. Doesn't want to wear a dress or anything virgin white, because that's gross. Neither of us is religious. We see marriage as the legal and money-hungry system it is, and have enjoyed our love thoroughly and wholly without the end, all-be-all idea of some ring. My love won't stop after the ring either. But even if that wasn't the case, Proposing to her now? Really? That's cheap as hell. What? Propose after all of this bull crap, just to one-up my mum and prove her wrong or something? That just makes it seem like I'm scrambling to prove something I and my GF are both already confident about to someone who clearly didn't love or respect me or my partner or my choices or my feelings or anything anyway. My love for my GF is my choice that I make every single day. As far as I'm concerned, we are married. We just don't have the legal paper to prove it yet. But one day, when we are both ready. For now, there's just other things we want to take care of, other things we want to do together, and places we want to see. Thank you. The number of people, though, who think this would be an appropriate time to propose has me worried. It's just cheap and sad and a bit selfish, if you ask me. Like, yeah, let me just propose after this blowout. So it looks like I'm scrambling to prove something we both already know is true. As if a ring is supposed to prove I love my GF. It's the way my sister mentioned this when we spoke the other night. I swear to God. That wasn't very Methodist of mother. But that lady was crazy about grandkids. She already has some due to my brother and his wife. And surprise, surprise, they effing hate her. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.